Joining us to discuss this and all of the issues related to as we roll towards 2020 and as we roll towards Super Tuesday, our friend Ned Ryun. He's the author of a really great book that I think we had him on. When did we have him on? It's Restoring Our Republic. We had him on a little while ago, but the book is Restoring Our Republic, the Making of the Republic, and how to really get in there and reclaim it before it's too late. And he joins us. You can follow him on Twitter at Ned Ryun. Ned, always good to talk with you.
Yeah, great to be with you, Dana. I had the same reaction watching that clip last night with Warren and Bloomberg and thought, Pocahontas scalped Mini Mike. At least they should have had the decency to hit pause to let him call the tribal police and report,
Yeah.
I've been scalped and go from there. But the thing that was staggering in all seriousness is this. I think, first of all, he was definitely unprepared.
Yeah.
And did not do any murder boards, did not do any debate prep. I mean, guys, you could see this coming a mile away. They're going to go after him on a couple different fronts. Prepare yourself with some good responses. He looked like a deer stuck in a headlight. But the thing that's amazing to me is he really thinks he's going to buy this nomination. And I think he actually will get very close to doing it, Dana. I mean, these guys, you pointed out Elizabeth raised, $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
But he's already spent $124 million in the Super Tuesday states alone. And the closest competitor in those states on spending has been Bernie at $10 million. He's literally outspent everybody 12-1 in these Super Tuesday states. So I think at some point, people don't want to stop running for office. They just run out of money. And once you keep losing and losing like Biden, I think Biden's pretty much come to the end of his road.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to a Bernie versus Bloomberg after Super Tuesday.
Good heavens. Yeah,
I know, right?
I can't believe that this is where we're at. And I was telling people earlier, I mean, this guy's not a capitalist. I mean, nobody sits here who with a straight face proposes a $5 trillion tax increase can call themselves a capitalist. He's definitely not one.
He's a crony capitalist. He made a lot of money off the 2008 crisis. I mean, there's a lot of things that you look back at his history. In fact, I would recommend to people, my buddy Raheem Kassam wrote a really good piece on how Bloomberg made his money at the National Pulse yesterday and really went into detail, and you start to realize where Bloomberg got his money. This guy's a crony capitalist. He's obviously nowhere near being anything close to being a moderate, except for in this dynamic with this Democratic Party, he kind of comes off as kind of quasi-moderate, but he's not.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of refreshing, though, Dana. I think this is going to be awesome. I think we're going to have a full-blown, basically communist, probably going to win the nomination. The only guy that can, I think, stop him is Bloomberg, spending maybe $1 billion or $2 billion of his own money. And then we've got a real clarity this fall. We've got a communist versus a free market capitalism, limited government. And I think that's the debate I've always wanted to have, because these Democrats have been trending this way for decades. They just have had this masquerade and pretense that they're not socialists, but they have been.
You sound so excited to argue against a communist. We're all sitting here terrified. Ned's all, I can't wait to have that. Go ahead, put a communist on your ticket. And we're all going, no. It's terrifying.
No, but it's a moment of clarity. And I really, it's one of the reasons I wrote the book, but you start to see this, it's been coming and coming into the Democratic Party for decades, and they've never really wanted to fully embrace it. They've always tried to keep it under wraps, keep it under the surface.
Hide it, yeah.
Well, yeah, to hide it, but I think what Donald Trump has been, I keep on telling people he's been the red pill and truth serum all wrapped into one package, where he's brought clarity, but he's also caused people to drop the pretense, to drop the masquerade. So now we can actually have some real clarity in our choices. And I think that's what we're going to see on display. We're already seeing it on display.
Right.
Where the American people are going to go, do we want single-payer socialist health care, or do we want a real true free market? Which is, again, I think one of the things that Republicans had better figure out, and I know Trump's trying to figure out. They better come up with a health care solution. But we're going to have some real debates on real issues and have, do you want a socialist approach, a communist approach? Do you want a free market approach? You get to decide this fall. Let's go for it.
Yeah. The one thing I'm worried about is not so much 2020, because I just don't see how anyone that has the economic numbers that Trump has can be defeated. Right. I mean, that would be a statistical anomaly. But 2024, what does the Republican Party do? Because these are going to be the biggest shoes, I think, yet to fill. And I don't know. You can't recreate him, but I don't know what you do in his absence as when he leaves office.
So there are a couple things. Well, first of all, I totally agree with you. I think we're probably talking about not if he wins, but how much he wins by. Because I'd also point out not only economic trends, historical trends. Only 5 presidents have lost their reelection bids since 1900. So he's got huge historical trends. He's got huge economic trends. But I think you're right, and I think this is one of the things that once he gets reelected, he's going to have 4 years to figure a few things out. He needs to make the Republican Party a truly America First party, and so there are a couple different things. We can't expect the second coming of Trump, right? We have to put some things into place, and I think he's got to go reform the Republican Party and say this party that has been, that I've basically taken over, I'm going to make it a creature of my own creation. I'm going to make sure that the committee people, I'm going to make sure the people staffing the RNC are America First, because they're not, and create that system in which he really makes the Republican Party an America First one. So he's got 4 years to do it. And I think that should be one of his great legacies. I've told him, listen, sir, your great legacy is going to be the federal judiciary. I think it's going to be fixing the immigration problem, securing the southern border. I think one of the ways that he continues to actually bolster and actually make his legacy go even further is reforming and changing the Republican Party to extend that another 4, 6, 8 years. But I think you're right, Dana. I think we got to start thinking about who is going to be the next, who's coming after Trump, who's going to be the next iteration. Of course, we need somebody like a Mark Meadows or a Jim Jordan. I'm not suggesting they're going to run for president in 2024.
I think it will be Ron DeSantis. I think Ron DeSantis will run.
Somebody like that, somebody that actually has shown they had the willingness to fight and then are actually doing the right things. I mean, I look at what he's doing DeSantis is doing down in Florida, not only on a broader scale, but I love what he's doing again in the education system, saying, it's probably time we start teaching our students history and civics again.
What?
What a shocking concept.
That's crazy, Ned. What do you want them to be educated? Gosh. No, but that's crazy. We're like, we should be doing some learning with all these tax dollars.
This is crazy. This is why I keep on calling the public schools and the colleges and universities, they're indoctrination centers, right? Indoctrination centers of higher learning. They're not really teaching kids to think. They're just trying to indoctrinate them, turn them out, and all by the way, strapping them with $200,000 of debt with worthless degrees. It's an awful system. I can't even believe that we're actually still thinking this is a legitimate form of education. It's not educating people. It's completely ruining a generation's life. And I'm thinking, why can't we just go back to the basics? Can we just teach them like compounding interest, how to balance a checkbook, don't spend more than you make? Oh, here's our history. Here's how it's supposed to work. Here's how it was intended to work. Just basic stuff, Dana. Let's go back to the basics, and I think it would be hugely successful.
I think not doing the basics has led to an overwhelming number of younger generations, like those who are, probably 25 and younger, to identify so
Bernie
much
Bros.
or to lean or to support. Yeah, Bernie Bros. To support.
They haven't been taught.
Yeah, no, they haven't been. Not at all. And that's the thing. This might be the first election where Democrats put up a candidate who's legit a full-blown communist. He can call himself a socialist, but he wants to nationalize too much industry for it to be a socialist. But they will never have, I don't think, another actual more classically liberal Democrat ever again. I think they'll have to create a new party. I think it's done at this point for them.
I think you're right. Well, see, they understood something decades ago in which G. William Domhoff in the 1970s, a full-blown communist, wrote to his communist brethren in the Ramparts magazine and said this: a party is what people say it is. And the people who say it is win primaries and show up at conventions. They've been doing this for decades, and so they've made it a creature of their own creation. I think if there are any real traditional Democrats left, you're right, they're going to have to figure out where do we go now, because this is not our party. It's been taken over by the socialists. I think the question about 2020 in regards not to Trump winning or not, he's going to win. What's going to happen in the House and what's going to happen in the Senate? And I'm telling you, if they put up Bernie Sanders, and I'm starting to think they're going to, I think you take the House back. I think Trump keeps the Senate. And then we've got a dynamic where we can really start to make some reform. But I have to tell you, Dana, the second term of Trump had better be about devolving the administrative state.
Yes.
And I have said this repeatedly in op-eds, and I'm going to have this conversation with him. Sir, you have to start breaking it apart in a very forceful way. Shut down departments, shut down agencies, take these 800,000 non-essential federal employees.
Yes.
You have to start migrating them out of government and then remove those positions from the federal role so they cannot be filled again. Has to take a very strong, aggressive approach on that. I'm like, you know what, sir? They already hate you anyway. I mean, they've already impeached you. What more can they do to you? Just keep going. Just do what you can, make it an epic second term. And of all the people that have been in office in the last however many generations, I think Trump might be willing to go and do some stuff in regards to really radically reforming and reorganizing our government, which would be fantastic.
And I think he's open to hearing this, too, from people. I don't know of many individuals in government who really do not just listen, but They want to make the people who voted for them happy. And when they hear, you know what, more limited government, let's cut more regulations, let's lower taxes,
Yes.
he does it. And I like that. You like that. We're happy.
Yeah, no, this is the thing that's crazy to me. Again, there's all the fake news media and everybody going how awful a person he is. When you actually start to talk with him and have a conversation with him, he's very down to earth, he's very receptive, and he listens. And he goes, okay, it doesn't mean he always accepts somebody's ideas, because he's thinking, I'm a 70-something who won it my way. I'm a billionaire because I did it my way. But he's willing to listen, and you can see where he's kind of shifted on some of these things and gone, you know what, this is actually the right thing to do, and he commits to it and he goes for it. So, no, I tell people, I'm like, I don't know what more you could wish for in a president. Sure, some of the tweets you're going, do you have to do that, sir? But on the substance of what he's actually accomplished, Dana, I'm like, I'm not sure we could ask for much more. And I'm thinking second term, he could literally have replaced 50% of the entire federal judiciary by the end of his second term, and he's putting 40-something Federalist Society rock stars in who are originalists. I don't know what else we could ask for.
I just heard Mitch McConnell smile all the way from Dallas here. Just heard
right?
Heard him smile. That's great to think of, and I hope he does it too. I hope that he does it, and I don't mind the tweet so much. I always feel like he does out in the open what so many Republicans do behind the scenes. I mean, because we all know some who are just like that. They just they think that somehow secrecy is a virtue.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is the refreshing part. This is why Trump, though. People love him being authentic. And sometimes you're like, I'm not sure I would have said that. But you know what? He's being himself. He's being authentic, and the people love it. And you know what they're also thinking, Dana? They're thinking, I just said that, in private, and he's saying this on Twitter to his 63 million followers. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it, too, that's appealing to him. Like, we don't have somebody that's trying to, like Pierre Delecto, right? Pretend to be something that he's not.
And
he's
have
actually
that name.
being himself, right? And he said, but Trump is saying these things. He believes it. And he's actually putting it out there and saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I believe. You can take it or leave it, but this is who I am.
And that's what they wanted.
People love it.
That's what voters wanted. Ned Ryun, Restoring Our Republic, The Making of a Republic and How We Reclaim It Before It's Too Late. Good book. I should know because I read it.
You endorsed it.
I did. This is a good book. And follow him on Twitter, Ned Ryun, R-Y-U-N. Ned, always so good to talk with you. And I think that we're going to have some better conversations, too, even more things to be happy about as we roll towards November. Although, I
think so.
It will. It's going to be probably one of the most interesting generals that we've seen. So I look forward to talking with you again.
What a time to be alive.
Right?
What a time to be alive.
Take care.
I appreciate it, Dana.
Thanks, Ned.
All right.